This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace to host the channel's official site and merchandise store for about 2 years now, and compared to building a site from scratch, the difference has been PC and console. The clean UI makes it easy to create and customize content, embed YouTube videos, social media posts, and add new items to our store. A simplified, all-in-one platform means you never have to install, patch, or upgrade anything, and I can tell you firsthand, their 24/7 customer support is better than most tech companies in the PC space. Don't tell them I said that. Squarespace has everything you need for your next domain, website, or online store. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/bitwit to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're doing yet another Q&A. I'm joined yet again by the lovely Wifey Sauce. She's going to be helping me out reading the questions off that you guys have sent to us via Twitter. And let's have some fun. Let's just dive into our first question, why don't we?
All right, so the first question is actually something that everyone has been asking ever since we posted our vlog at Disneyland.
Uh-oh.
What the heck happened to Chris the intern?
Well,
Where is he?
Chris is, unfortunately, Chris is dead. No, he's not. He's perfectly alive and well. In fact, he's actually standing behind the cameras right now.
Chris! Come in front of the camera.
I said he was our ex-intern in the vlog because technically his internship was for a fixed period, as he was doing it for college credits, which had a fixed number of hours that he had to complete. He finished those, but hey, look, he's still here helping us out. He's actually going to be contracting with us for a little while longer, just with videography and editing and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we're glad that he's not actually gone.
I think we had to show proof that he's still alive and actually working with us. So Chris.
Wait,
yes, I'm serious.
Where did he go? Where is he?
He's alive.
Where is he at? I don't see him. Oh! There he is. Everyone, Chris, everyone.
Woo!
He's alive and well.
All right, the next question. What's the hardest thing about living with and working with Wifey Sauce? Choose your words wisely.
Absolutely nothing. She is an angel. Absolutely perfect in every single way. What's the best part about living and working with Wifey Sauce? I don't know, because there are just too many things. I can't count that high. Okay, all right. I'm gonna answer this straight. I think the most difficult thing is the fact that we're coworkers, but we're also spouses. It can be difficult trying to create a separation between those two things when you're at work. Sometimes I am in husband mode and not in coworker mode, and vice versa. Sometimes we get home from work and I'm still talking about work like she's still my coworker, when I have to learn to mentally clock out when we get home. So yeah. I'd say that's probably the trickiest part. But
I would agree.
Other than that, I mean, it's honestly not too bad. Not nearly as bad as everyone told me it would.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Moving on.
Just kidding. Or am I?
All right. Is it a better idea to build a PC or purchase a pre-built right now?
Very topical at the moment with all of the inflated prices with the memory and GPUs. That is definitely a consideration. I would say right now, if you really need a gaming system, go the pre-built route, because and I actually did a video on this recently. NZXT's BLD service, which is a pre-built service, they sell GPUs for MSRP. So I think like a 1070 was like $350 when it launched 2 years ago, and now you can't find one cheaper for $700-800. NZXT's selling it at cost. Obviously you buy the whole system together, but that's definitely the way to go for now until things kind of tame down
a little bit. Yeah. All right, what is the most difficult part of being a tech YouTuber? There's
so many difficult things about it. One is constantly coming up with creative ideas for content. You get creatively tapped out pretty quickly, and it's sort of this ebb and flow. It's always up and down. Sometimes you have these really great, amazing ideas, and they're just flowing out. You can't even contain them all. And other days, sometimes weeks at a time, there's like a dry spell, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel so unoriginal right now, and I'm just like rinse and repeating content, or getting too much influence from other creators and things like that. I'd say that's a huge challenge, probably for any creator, to be honest. And then there's also the delicate balancing act of just having a social life, a regular life, and then working with YouTube, working for YouTube. It's
never really stops.
Yeah, the internet doesn't sleep. You guys never sleep, obviously, so I gotta keep churning things out, whether it's, Christmas morning and we're supposed to be opening presents, or, moments before we go out for our anniversary dinner, things like that. Like, I gotta render some stuff and, create metadata tags and things like that. So it kind of just all jumbles together, and it can be difficult having that separation, which is why I like the new office.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Sort of goes full circle to what we were just mentioning earlier, is that when we come home, we kind of like to put work behind us.
Yeah, and that's why the office
relax.
has really kind of given us that separation, right?
The AC in this entire building shuts off at 6 p.m. So it's like, okay, I gotta finish up the last of what I was doing and head home before I melt, which is actually a good thing, I think.
If you could have Gamers Nexus hair for one day, but then you had to go bald for a year, would you?
I'm assuming they mean Gamers Nexus Steve, correct?
Correct.
AKA Tech Jesus, with the long flowing locks of hair. Of course I would take that offer.
I would take that offer. Well, actually, going bald for a year.
I mean, all you have to do is like curl your hair or like make it a little bit more wavy, and then you pretty much have Steve
I
hair.
don't have his curl game. Like, he's
got some luscious
got
locks,
some
that dude.
sweet hair.
I know. I'm quite envious. I want to see Steve just shred like a guitar, like shred some metal with his hair just like flying in the air. Like that's a GIF that I need in my life. But getting back on topic, I would definitely take his hair for a day, just so I could see what he looks like bald. Because I think that would be worth it for me. I would really want to see Steve.
I don't think the question
completely
has
naked.
anything to do with him being bald. Just you being bald.
No, but I mean transitive property. If I take Steve's hair, Steve is now bald. I just want to see Steve. Why can't I see Steve bald?
Because no, everyone likes his hair too much. They don't want to see him bald. I don't think you would look very good with long hair. You'd have to shave your face too. Steve's hair with a shaved face. I would divorce you instantly.
I would hope so. I would never be with someone who would agree to be with me in that state.
All right, this is going on for too long.
Yeah.
Next question. If people want to start streaming, should they get a second PC or just one with high specs?
Well, right now, building two systems, especially ones with GPUs in them, would be extremely expensive. So, I mean, if your budget can handle it, good for you. But most people probably can't right now. And additionally, you might not even need a dedicated streaming PC, because if you build like a medium or a mid-range to high-end rig with a decent processor in it, then and GPU, you can probably do both, no problem. And honestly, there's bitrate caps for Twitch and YouTube that really prevents you from fully taxing your hardware as much as you could. So for those reasons, I would just stick to a single system. I've been streaming off of one rig for years now without any issues, and I've even been doing that on, quad-core i7s, not necessarily any high-end desktop parts required for something like that.
This one says, hey Kyle, I have a Sapphire R9 398GB paired with an FX 8370. Would I see an increase in game performance if I upgraded to Ryzen?
Yeah, you would. I mean, to be honest, the Bulldozer architecture is so dated at this point. However, there are still games that will utilize all 8 of those Bulldozer cores and actually outperform some Ryzen chips from some tests that I've seen. But for the vast majority of the time, you're going to get much higher performance out of a Ryzen platform at this point. It's much newer Zen architecture, and even if you're getting something with fewer cores like a Ryzen 5, it's still going to outperform your 8350 or your 8370 in the vast majority of titles. I would suggest going for a Ryzen 5 chip or higher, Ryzen 5 or 7. I would stray away from Ryzen 3. That would be slightly more of a lateral upgrade, more of a side grade, even though I'm sure in some instances it would still outperform your current chip. But yeah, going for something like a Ryzen 1500X or 1600 even would be probably the sweet spot that I would recommend for your upgrade. And the nice thing about AM4, about Ryzen and that platform, is that you have upgradability down the line. If you wanted to swap that out for a 1700 or an 8-core 1800X, for example, you could do so without having to change your motherboard, your DRAM, and so forth. So.
All right, this is a fun one. What was your reaction when you saw yourself on PewDiePie's channel?
It wasn't super unexpected, just because I noticed that a couple months prior that Twitch clip is one of the highest watched Twitch clips on the internet of all time, really. I think it's like number 15 or something like that, at least when I checked. So it's, and with like, you know, all the YouTubers and stuff, the mainstream YouTubers, they do a lot of reaction videos where they react to crazy Twitch fails and things like that. So I wasn't surprised when I was like, okay, that would obviously be an easy target. But I was more surprised by PewDiePie's reaction to the clip. Because he was so like, I thought he was just gonna totally bash me or something like that, right? But instead he just seemed so concerned. Like he just seemed genuinely like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a maternal side of PewDiePie I didn't know existed. He was like, oh, you should really be wearing protection. Like he was just super like nice about it, which I think threw me off the most out of everything. But it was definitely cool seeing me on his channel.
I think so too. The next question is, if we want a media HTPC for movies, what's a good card that doesn't require a second mortgage at this time?
I'd say a good card right now that hasn't been quite as tanked by the current mining situation is the GTX 1050. It's still adequate for an HTPC. You can even do some light 1080p gaming on it, to be honest. But it does support 4K. It does support HDR. I think I saw a few going recently for about 150 to 160 bucks, which is still slightly higher than what they MSRP'd for, I believe, but still doesn't hold a candle to some of the other cards out there that have just doubled or even tripled in price. So
yeah, it's just crazy how expensive they are now.
Yeah.
What was your first custom build?
My first custom build was in 2011, which was actually the year that I started working at Newegg, and just being surrounded by all the hardware made me really want to build a system for my first time. And what I ended up getting was a Sandy Bridge Core i7 2600K on the Z68 platform. It was an Asus Deluxe P8 Z68 and 8 gigs of RAM, DDR3, with a GTX 670. That was also an Asus product. It was a DirectCU2 cooler, and that was all inside of the white 600T from Corsair. Beautiful case. I actually still have it. In fact, it's right there off camera, just chilling there. Great little case with tons of airflow with those 200mm fans. And I think I had like a Hyper 212, like the original Hyper 212 cooling that CPU, which I eventually swapped out for a liquid AIO, so I could do more overclocking. But that was
the very first one.
My very first one.
All right, what is the oldest PC component you own?
Well, this answer would be really boring since I did build my first system just 7 years ago, which isn't that old, all things considered. But Wifey Sauce's dad, Daddy Sauce, we'll just call him.
Let's not use that.
We'll call him Daddy Sauce for the purpose of this video.
We're not gonna call him Daddy Sauce.
Actually sent me a really old floppy drive. I forget how big this floppy is. It's like, and also how to eject it.
Aha!
There it is. Look at that thing. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but a big old floppy.
Here, I'll hold it.
A Maxwell floppy. How much is on this thing? Doesn't even say.
I forget. My dad told me once and I forget.
A few kilobytes, perhaps. And then this is a hard drive, isn't it? I believe this is a hard drive.
Yeah, it's a hard drive.
So I don't know exactly how much storage is on here, but it's not much. But there is a Molex connector. The only thing that I really find, the only thing that's familiar to me on this whole thing is the Molex connector. Also just goes to show you how old Molex is and that it should die and no one should ever use it again. That is now the oldest piece of tech that I own.
Yeah, coolest.
It's very cool.
It's the coolest thing. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Daddy Sauce.
All right, so the last and just final question for you. Did you just say Daddy Sauce again?
No.
Last question. How do you decide when it's a good time to upgrade/change up a build?
I think the first sign that you should consider upgrading would be that you're noticing a slowdown of some sort. You're noticing that your performance isn't what it used to be and it's actually affecting your workflow. Or you know, whatever it is, browsing the web. You notice that things are slowing down and it's becoming an issue. Of course, there are other reasons to upgrade. For example, if you wanted to take advantage of certain features that maybe aren't offered on your platform because it's an older platform, then that's perhaps a reason to switch depending on how badly you need those new technologies. And then additionally, you also want to kind of factor in timing. Sometimes people buy systems only researching the hardware that's already out there, not realizing that there's a big silicon launch right around the corner, and then they end up seeing that like, oh wow, 2 weeks after I built my whole system, this new GPU came out, and it's like way better price to performance, etc. So you have to be also sort of in tune with the latest trends and be following the news, the tech news closely to know when might be a good time to pull the trigger on certain components.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. Is that it? That's it,
ladies and gentlemen.
Woo! Wow.
Those were all your questions, or actually the most interesting ones that we can find.
You guys had some good questions this time around, so thank you all for sending those in. We'll be doing another one of these probably in the near future. Yeah, Wifey Sauce, thank you for joining me and being a great host and MC or whatever you want to call it.
Thank you for joining me.
No,
this is my show.
No, thank you. Wow. All right, guys, on that note, we're gonna call it a day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to toss a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and get subscribed to the channel for more tech stuff coming at you really soon. You can also check us out on FLOATPLANE if you wanna watch our content up to a week early without ads. I'll put a link for that in the description below. Other than that, guys, have a good one, and I'll see y'all in the next video.
That actually really tickled.
All of our neighbors are lawyers. They're gonna sue us.
I know.
All right.